Hey guys, it's StevieB with EarnPED.com, and today I wanted to make a special video. I've gotten a lot of requests for this over the past couple of weeks, so I'm coming back to where it all started, good old Camp Icarus. So the question that I've been getting is, how do we pick the right mob to hunt? How do we pick the right weapon to hunt with? And how do we make money starting off early on? So since we all start off at Camp Icarus, this is where I want to come to let us know one very important thing. You're at the wrong damn place. This is not where you want to be. How do I know that? Because this is where everybody is, but more importantly, this is where MindDark wants you to be as a new player. So because of that, this is definitely not where you want to be. Now, I say that, the one exception here is this guy over here in the white. That is the Gutless Organizer. You create a team, you hit number 5, create a team, invite a friend, hit Gauntlet. You go in here to stages 1 and 2, bada bing, bada boom. You're able to get your Vivo S10, your unlimited healing FAP. Looks like this. One of the best FAPs early on in the game, and it's free, courtesy of MindDark. I still use mine today. You also get 100,000 ammo the first time you complete stage 2. So, good to go. So, what do we want to do? We want to get away from Camp Icarus. This is where all the new players are, and this is where MA wants you. So where do we want to go? Let's look at our map. Notice over here to the left, there's this little blue box, and it says Port Atlantis. That's where we want to go. So I'm going to create a waypoint. You guys will see it's literally 1,900 yards that way. I don't even have to use the teleporter. I could literally run. I could also go down here to the beach and I could swim around if I wanted to. I have the teleporter, so let's go ahead and use it, but literally just swim this way or run over here if you can. You might want to swim, stay close to shore the first time, but there's two teleporters. There's the Port Atlantis Mall teleporter, and then there's the regular Port Atlantis teleporter. I'm going to use the regular Port Atlantis teleporter. There's a reason for that. This is stuff you should be doing your very first day in game. Like, there's a couple of missions you can do at Camp Icarus to get some free ammo or some free guns. Do those, and then immediately do this. So this is the Port Atlantis teleporter. Directly across from me is Port Atlantis Mall, and back that way, over there, that's where Camp Icarus was. So on top of the mall, there's a teleporter. It's up there on that ledge with the little lights right there. That's where the teleporter is. Then directly across from it over here is the teleporter for Port Atlantis. The reason you want to use this one is there's a woman right here, the teleporter technician. You talk to her, she'll give you a whole bunch of teleporters right off the bat for doing nothing. Inside here you can find all your terminals and stuff, your trade terminal, your auctioneer, all that good stuff. And notice we are directly next to Never Die Bank. So if you get to Never Die Bank and you go directly across the street, 3rd floor up, teleporter, can't miss it. So on the map, I'm going to zoom in so you can see where we are. It won't let me. Let's see if I can do it here. Can I do it this way? Because I want to try and show you guys where we are. There we go. Okay. So notice I am heading north. I want to go out the north gate. So you won't be able to do this when you very start because you won't have enough HP, but I can. Please be sure and use the stairs. Bam, north gate. So this is where we want to be. There's a couple of reasons why. Number one is all these puny creatures. We have a wide selection. Now, there is a little bit higher. You're going to have your Berkleids. You're going to have your, whatever the blue buffaloes are called. I can never pronounce that. Same as you would have over at Icarus, right? But if I look to my right, we're going to have other puny creatures. And there's some level 2s, some level 3s. So there's this level 4 Tripution. I don't really do the level 4s. I'm looking for those in the puny version. You'll see why here in a second. We've got some puny Berkleid again. So I just kind of come over here to the right a little bit, and then I'll head back north. Here we go. Okay, now here's the other stuff you're going to see, like a level 2 Snable Shot female. You might see a level 3 male, something like that. You'll see a level 3 Berglide here and there. Nothing too super strong. Here we go. So this guy, let's go ahead and take him out. Notice something? Yeah, 2 hits. The Tripudion Punies have like 10 HP, I think. It's something absolutely stupid small. The Berglide, I think 5, 10, 15, almost 20. I know these guys, the Blue Buffalo, the Cataturgus, or however you pronounce it, they have 20. So these Tripudions, the Punies anyway, these are the level 4 juveniles, but the Puny Tripudions have literally 10 HP. So they're super easy to take down. There's usually way more of them around here than this. There's usually a few less level 4s. But Punies being more or less the same, the Tripudion are usually the preferred. Here we go. Here's another one. 2 hits, maybe 1. 1, 2, barely 3. So they got like 10, 15 HP. It's the smallest HP out of all the puny creatures, so that's why I like them. So over here, notice I've also got way more puny creatures and way less people. At Camp Icarus, I'll have a lot of puny creatures, but I also have a whole lot of people I'm competing with, right? So we all go out, and there's a Snable Shot male. We all go out, and we're all hunting the same thing, and there might be a big herd at one moment, and then none the next. Here, it's kind of a smorgasbord. You really can't ever run out of mobs. You can never really kill mobs quick enough here to completely obliterate them. Try as though you might, by the time you get even a fraction of the way into it, they're going to be respawning already. So that's one reason I like it. I get a lot more hunting done in the same amount of time. The other thing, I just think that they tend to pay a little bit better. So notice I was on the right side of the road at first. I'm going to cross over here to the left. This is one of my favorite areas in the game, especially for hunting punies. I've spent a lot of time here. Is this big giant field over here? You'll see there's a huge mob kind of in the middle. They just kind of chill over here. There's also some Gibnib and some Chirpy mixed in. This is where I very first did my Gibnib and Chirpy missions. There's a Chirpy over there, little Chirpy Guardian. This is where I first did my dailies for Gibnib and Chirpy when I first started. I've got a better Gibnib and Chirpy place now. I will give you guys in another video later on. But you can find them here. They're just kind of hard to find. There's a few of them mixed in. So up here on this hill, you tend to get just a huge mob of puny creatures. It's kind of a puny creature smorgasbord. And my personal opinion, punies tend to pay better here than they do at Camp Icarus. I don't know if that's because there's more people at Camp Icarus. I don't know if it's because fewer people hunt here. But my general experience has been my results are typically, not always, but typically better here than at Camp Icarus as far as dollar for dollar, peck for peck returns. Now, that isn't always true, but it's true the vast majority of the time. So there's another reason I'm over here, guys, which you will see here in a second. But one of the things I want to talk about when it comes to puny creatures is how do we make money? Well, you're really not going to be quite honest. It's very, very difficult in the beginning, especially when you have very limited amounts of ammo, resources, stuff like that. So the thing is, puny creatures don't really drop anything that anybody super needs. Yeah, let's go ahead and shoot him. Yeah, let's not. They don't really drop anything anybody needs per se, so you're not going to get stuff with great markup. You're going to get some shrapnel, you're going to get some muscle oil. The biggest thing is the bone samples. Let me I'll go ahead and take you out. Run over here real quick. Okay, so muscle oil market value 102%. Nothing spectacular there, right? That's barely better than TT food, but it is useful in a lot of construction stuff. But the bone samples. The bone samples, once you have 10,000 of them, you can trade them for 1 agility point. You can only do it once. There's a mission for it. It's an attribute. It's not a skill. So it grows very, very slowly. In fact, my agility at this time is only 67. Right? I've got 67 agility. It slows down the higher you go. So once you get to the point where you're at like 180 to 100 agility, it really gets painfully slow to grow those attributes in that range. So a lot of guys will wait until they're higher level, until they're 90, 100 agility, then they'll go trade in those bones. Well, the thing is, guys, a lot of times by the time you hit that point, you don't want to go collect 10,000 bones. And if you don't still have yours from when you started, you've got to, right? So there are some value in the bones. Usually, if you're a trader, you can buy them 3 for a peck. You can resell them to somebody wanting to go complete the mission and get their agility point, usually about a peck a piece. So you're usually buying 10,000 for about 33 PED. You're usually selling 10,000 for about 100 PED. And if you farm them on your own, super awesome, good job. So I do see a lot of people first get started, that's their first money maker. While they're out here farming these, which you can only get them from puny creatures, they're also trading. They're trying to buy them 3 for a peck. They're trying to resell them in lots of 1,000 or 10,000 for a peck a piece. And it can be a good money maker. I've done it. I've had a friend who needed 5,500 of them. She wanted to go get her agility point, and I happened to have 5,500 of them. I was like, sure, why not? I wasn't going to go get my agility point at the moment, so why not make the money and invest it, and then later on buy them back? So I did. But now we're getting into something that is a key tenet of the game: hunting for markup. Everything you do in the game should always be for markup. It doesn't matter if it's hunting, crafting, mining, whatever. Markup is how you're going to make your money. You're never going to put $100 into the game and MindArt give you back 1,000. It's not going to happen. But you can put in $100, go out, hunt for markup, mine for markup, craft for markup, and then sell your items to other players for 110, 120, 130, 140% markup and make money. It does happen, and that's the guys that you see that really make money. That's how they do it. It's all about the markup. Money where my mouth is, guys. Look at my recent auctions if you guys can see this. Sold Armatrix LR25, selling Tier 2 components. Sold Armatrix LR25, sold LR25, 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 LR25. Guys, I probably sold 15 guns yesterday. All of which I made myself, all of which I got the materials the smart way, So that's really where the money is crafting for markup, hunting for markup, mining for markup. What that means is we can't just run around willy-nilly, hunting what we want, mining what we want, crafting what we want. I would love to just craft basic filters 80 hours a week and say I don't need a job. It doesn't work that way. If I'm crafting stuff I can sell. Limited mining amps, Armatrix weapons, Armatrix amps, armor and armor plates that are limited in nature. I'm not sitting there crafting basic filters all day long and then TTing them or gambling on explosive projectiles. Well, the same thing applies when hunting. I can't just hunt whatever I want. I would love to go hunt mulciburs with a group of people. I can't do that. There's no money in it. Right? So I've got to hunt things that make me money. Well, what's one of the things that makes you early on other than the bone samples? The bone samples is great the first week or so. Definitely give it a try. It helps you get used to the Cali trade and the trade channels. But also when you're hunting punies, you get these Nova Fragments. Nova Fragments do not drop from the Blue Buffalo. The Catadurgus, I believe, whatever it's called, they don't drop from that. They do drop from virtually every other puny, which is, if you notice, at Icarus, what's out front? The Blue Buffalo, right? That's what MindArt wants you killing. It doesn't even drop Nova Fragments. All the other punies do. So one of the reasons I say stay completely away from Icarus. But Nova Fragments, you might get about a PED or 2 PED per 1,000 for Nova Fragments. They're not super valuable. They're kind of a nuisance thing whenever you're crafting. But after you get a little bit of defense skills up, after you get some of your hunting skills up and your weapon skills, you can come here to North Swamp Camp. Notice it's just north of where we were just at Port Atlantis. Notice there's these Exosaur young. They're level 3. They don't have just a ton of HP. You're looking probably about 50 HP a piece, I think, give or take. As you're hunting them, these are one of the first things you're going to hunt that actually can global. It doesn't happen a lot. You're virtually guaranteed to rarely, if never, global off a puny. If you do, you're only going to get 5 PED off of it, so it's a worthless swirl. But that's because the cost to kill a puny is so low, even with huge multipliers, you really don't get anywhere. With Exosaur, even a level 3 Exosaur, they've got enough HP, the cost to kill is great enough, you can hit a global. I think my biggest Exosaur global was like 150 PED one time. And that's a pretty freakishly large Exosaur global. So, yeah, I wouldn't put it past it on a long run to see something like, an 8 PED drop, a 10 PED drop, a 20 PED drop, but you're still talking a very long run even to get there. The bigger thing is, if you only go off for globals and those big hits, you're never going to make it in EU. You're going to go broke. Remember, the big thing is we're going after markup, right? So if you notice, I'm getting some shrapnel, I'm getting some muscle oil. What I'm really after here is blazer fragments. They look just like Nova fragments, but they're blue instead of red. The reason I'm after those is they have upwards of 130% markup, guys. I'm sorry, 130,000% markup. So what does that mean? It means that if you have 1,000 of them, they're worth between 10 to 13 PED. 100,000% markup would be 10 PED. 130,000 would be 13 PED. I've seen them recently as high as 170,000% markup, which was 17 PED per thousand. So blazer fragments are one of the best markup items you can go after early on. They're also pretty easy to farm with enough time here at North Swamp Camp. Let's see if I've actually got one so far. Nope, not yet. Sometimes you get them every kill. Sometimes it takes a while, but they are out here. I'm also using Mind Force, which probably isn't helping matters much. You tend to get them more with pistol and rifle, but we will get one here in a minute. The reason they're so important is they're needed for tiering. So if I want to tier my BP20 FEN, I might need 2,000 of them. If you want to tier a tier 10 loot 2.0 weapon like a BP, a LP70 perfected, you might need 400,000. Well, you're not going to go farm them. It would take forever. You're going to buy them, right? They're used almost exclusively in tiering, and that's what makes them so valuable. So a lot of people want them. I had somebody yesterday, I was selling them some tiering components. They said, hey, do you have any blazer fragments for sale? I said, yeah, I've got, X amount in storage that I saved for myself. Well, what do you want for them? Sorry, not for sale. Why? Because I don't want to have to come out and get them all again whenever it's my time to tier stuff up. And I'm getting really close to tiering several things. So if you can come out here and farm these blazer fragments, that's one of the ways early on that people are able to hunt for markup and mitigate their losses. If you're any kind of efficient with your weapon setup and your weapon skills, you should be able to do a fairly lengthy Exosaur run. And if you sell everything and come out on the negative end, it's not going to be by much. Now, it might seem that... Oh, there we go, blazer fragment. Here's one. I got 6 of them, actually. So these little guys right here, they look just like the Nova fragments, but they're blue. Notice 127,000% markup for the day, 130 for the week. Nailed it. 130 for the year. Man, I'm good at my numbers. You'll also see, guys, it's not that hard to get those prices. There's a lot of times people in CaliTrade will offer you that 13 PED per thousand for blazer fragments, and you don't have to incur the cost of putting them on auction or filling an auction order. You can just go to somebody in CaliTrade who's offering that, and they'll just pay you directly without any of the auction fees. I know there's some guys that trade almost exclusively in blazer fragments. They will pay newer players the full markup, whatever it is, 13, 14, 15 PED per thousand. They'll pay you PED for PED the exact market value of your blazer fragments as long as you're a new player. Now, if you're more of an OG player, they might expect a PED or two off per thousand. But for the newer players, I know a lot of guys to help the new players out will give you the full market value of the blazer fragments. So my suggestion to almost every one of my disciples, all of who come back and thank me, is when you very first start, go to Port Atlantis, get the teleporters, and then start hunting puny creatures between North Swamp Camp and Port Atlantis over there in the distance. Do that for a couple of days. When you get your weapon skills up and your defense skills up, which you can do with a day or two at Zykion skilling defense, come here and start in on the Exosaurs, start farming these blazer fragments. Exosaurs also drop other stuff that is in high demand. I haven't really gotten any yet, but they do drop some tearing components here and there, which has pretty good markup, some wools, some other stuff. So there's some of the stuff that you'll want to TT. It's, the stuff that's 100%, 101%. Maybe your muscle oil you can stack up and sell to an order or sell to a trader in Cali Trade. But a lot of the stuff that Exosaurs sell, if you can afford to stack it, you can get pretty decent money for it as far as the markup's concerned. That really helps mitigate the losses and can even put you into profit territory pretty easy. The biggest run I've ever done was I did a 1,000 PED run on Exosaurs here at North Swamp Camp. It took like a week. It took forever. I ended up actually slightly down as far as TT value was concerned. And then once I sold everything for markup, I ended up like up 7% total. So I ended up with like 1,070 PED, almost a 10% profit. So it was a good week. And it was exclusively from Exosaurs because I wanted to see kind of what some long-term numbers were like. So this is the very first place, as soon as my people have the skills, that I send all my disciples and I say, go here and essentially do this until you can afford to do something else. More Blazer Fragments. Woo woo! Blazer Fragments are super yummy. Not very many things in this game have 130% markup, guys. Especially not something that people are actively buying on a regular basis. There's an order in auction right now for 111% or 111,000% markup. So 11 PED per thousand. And you can get more than that in Cali Trade almost on a daily basis. So not very many things have this kind of markup, and it's something a lot of people don't go after. The secret is getting out. I talked to a high-level player yesterday, and they were like, yeah, here's what I heard people doing, going to North Swamp Camp, Blazer Fragments, Exosaurs. I'm like, yeah, I kind of started that trend about a year ago. She was like, really? I was like, yeah. She was like, well, I figured it was somebody, that'd been around a while. I was like, yeah, that was me. So this was kind of like my thing, words getting out. That's great. I think all new players should do this because this is how people can actually become sustainable in the game relatively easy. Now that said, it does help when you have some weapons and some ammo. So the next question that I get is, how do you pick the right weapon for the right mob? So it's a trick question, guys. There is not one weapon that is perfect for one mob and one weapon that is perfect for another. What you want to do is you want to do the reverse. Remember, Entropia is not the same as most games. You want to pick the weapon that matches your skills. And then you want to hunt the mob that matches your skills while hunting a mob that has loot that has markup that you can sell. So it's not about the weapon and the mob. It's about the weapon versus you, the mob versus you, and the loot versus the mob, right? So first things first, remember that efficiency is king. This is my BP20 FEN. It's my baby, only 15 in-game. 83.2% efficiency. The higher the efficiency, the better your loot composition, and the more loot you will get. Hands down, this is a fact. It's stated by Minarch. It's proven. There's a reason these high-efficiency weapons cost an arm and a leg. Somebody offered me over 13,000 PED for this gun a while back, and I said absolutely not, because I would lose more money hunting without it than that was going to make me. I can get close to that any day of the week just by throwing it on auction. So they weren't paying enough above market value to compensate for all the limited guns I'd burn, all the loot I would lose by having a lower efficiency weapon. The higher the efficiency, the better. Guys, this is 83.2% efficiency. Anything over 70% is considered uber efficient. There is a reason that Messi, the highest level player in the game, uses the unique sacrificial dagger. It has 94% efficiency, the highest efficiency of any weapon that is able to be used by a player that I know of. So the first things first is you always want the most efficient weapon you can use. But you also want a weapon you're maxed on. So example, let's go with the Solomate Rubio, one of the first weapons you'll ever see that's a limited weapon. You want to go to this view info page, show detailed information. You want to be sure all of these stats are maxed. You want to be sure you have the max attacks per minute. The first number is what you can do. The second is what the weapon is capable of. So notice attacks per minute, 61 over 61, it's maxed. Damage interval, how much damage are you inflicting compared to what can the weapon do? 1.5 through 3 HP per shot. That's also what the weapon can do, so maxed. Range, maxed. Hit ability, critical hit ability, 10 over 10, 10 over 10. This weapon is maxed in every stat, so I can use this weapon. What I do not want to do is use a weapon where these numbers are not maxed. I don't want to use a weapon where I'm doing 30 attacks and it can do 61, where I'm doing 1 damage but it can do 20, where my critical hit are 4 and 3 over 10. That would be horrible. You would lose money hand over fist because you're not ready to handle the weapon. It's why a lot of the old school unlimited weapons you see go by the wayside, because they're not even maxed until level 100 and their efficiency sucks. So limited weapons really are the way to go. Early on, you're going to be using the Rubio, the Azuro. You'll be wanting to amp those with the B101 limited amp. Yes, I do believe in amps. Why? They raise efficiency. So right now, I'm using Mind Force. Let's look at the chip I'm using. This is it right here, Corrosive Attack Nano Chip 1, limited. I'm going to unequip it. I'm going to detach the attachments. Notice I had an amp on it. So, view info. Notice, again, I am maxed in every meaning of the word. All these stats are maxed. Notice the efficiency is 57.9%. That's a far cry from the 83 my gun has, right? If I put the amplifier on it, bam, 64.5. 60 to 70 is considered really, really good in my book. That I will not hunt with something that's less than 60% efficiency. I just won't do it. There's no reason to it. There's no point to it. There's too many options out there, and efficiency is way too important. So 64.5%, I can live with that as an efficiency because that's what most people do on the average for the daily. I'm currently skilling Mind Force at the moment, so that's a good enough efficiency. I figure that's what the average Joe probably goes for, is about 62, 63%. So that's good enough for me to skill some Mind Force, right? Now, would I go on a big money hunt? No. Big money hunt, I'm going to pull out my BP20 FEN when I'm really going after bigger mobs that I know drop good markup loot, that use more ammo, have a higher cost to kill. I'm definitely going to be using the BP20 FEN. These things, I'd pretty much one-shot them. I'd have to two-shot them, but it'd be wasting the second shot most of the time. So there's no point with the BP20 FEN. So point being, use the highest efficiency weapon you can. Use a weapon you are maxed on, and only a weapon you are maxed on. And then figure out what mob you want to kill. So how do you figure that out? Well, you figure out which mob has the loot that you want. That's going to be loot with good markup percentages. And then you figure out, well, how easy is it going to be for me to kill? My BP20 FEN does just over 40 damage per second. So I can pretty easily, with my defense and my 40 damage per second, I can fairly easily take out most 400, 500, 600 HP mobs. I cannot take down mobs that, are 3000 HP with very, very high regeneration rates, because the 40 damage per second just isn't enough to really make it happen. So I stay away from level 20, 30, 40 mobs, even though I've got the efficiency, even though I'm maxed on the weapon, and even though they might drop good loot. Now, there will be a time I'll eventually move on to another super high efficiency weapon, but it will have much greater DPS. Then I can go after mobs like that. In fact, guys, I'm level 31 evader. The average mob that I hunt is anywhere from level 5 to 10. Now, maturity plays a big difference. Competitions play a big difference. But on average, if you see me out hunting, earlier today I was hunting level 4 creatures with my BP20 FEN. Yesterday I was hunting something that was level 5 and something else that was level 8. So hunting bigger is usually not better. That's usually just how you lose a crap load of money. There's actually a guy who's pretty famous in the game for being wrong. He started and he told us that the way to make money was to get the biggest gun you can afford and go after the biggest mob you can afford. And we were all stupid and didn't know what we were doing, and we should not be using guns that we were maxed on and hunting smaller creatures. We were all idiots. And he very quickly lost $1,000 US. Everything we told him was wrong, and he would not listen to us to save his life. And now he kind of struggles to get by, and I feel sorry for him because I kind of like the guy. But he's really been struggling with the game. I'm surprised he's even still here. But he finally came around and said, you guys are right. You want to use a weapon that you're maxed on. You want to use the highest efficiency you can afford, the highest efficiency you can get your hands on, and you want to go with a mob that doesn't require a lot of armor, not a lot of fapping. Have you guys seen me stop to fap once this entire video? No, you're not going to. I've got enough hit points, I've got high enough defense. I don't need to. It's just not going to happen. I can sit here and hunt these things all day and never fap one time. So, I mean, you know, the game is what it is, guys. Yeah, it's fun to hunt the bigger creatures, and trust me, once you get past the first 6 months and you have a wider selection of what you can hunt, possibilities really open up. But there is actually a mob you guys could go to shortly after the level 3 Exosaur that has even better loot, globals often, and the loot also has great markup. Much more fun to hunt even, I think, than the level 3 Exos. I'm not going to give away all my secrets. I'm not going to tell you what it is. A lot of you will figure it out naturally. Some of you will not. You know, if you ever see me out hunting, cool. I'll go ahead and drop a hint for those of you who are smart. And I'm not saying you can't figure this out, but if you've ever seen the movie Harry Potter, I'm a huge fan of Dobby. Huge fan. Anyway, if that guides you somewhere, so be it. If not, whatever. Anyway, so my first 3 weeks in game, guys, if I had to do it completely over, I'd immediately go to Port Atlantis, grab the teleporter technician for more teleporters, spend a week hunting punies with whatever ammo and weapon I could get my hands on, max out some pistol skills, max out some rifle skills, go to Zykion for 2 or 3 days, get your defense up, come here to North Swamp Camp, slaughter these Exosaurs for a week or two, get you some blazer fragments, sell your blazer fragments and bone samples for profit to people in Cali trade, to traders. Be sure you get a fair price, close to retail if you can. And then just repeat. Stick with the Exosaurs at North Swamp Camp. If you can figure out which level 4 mob has good loot after that, where to find them, and you have an efficient weapon and enough HP and defense to hunt them, super, move on. And then just kind of naturally let the game progress from there. But this is how I would do it if I could start over. I wish I had seen this video 2 years ago. It wasn't there. That's why I'm making it for you. So remember, the big takeaway, guys, only use weapons you're maxed with. Efficiency is king. There is not one weapon for one mob, a different weapon for a different mob. The weapon needs to match your skills. You need to be maxed on every weapon that you use. Period. End of story. You then need to use that weapon to say, okay, what kind of damage can I do? Which mobs should I hunt, knowing the damage I can do and the defense that I have, and only hunt mobs that drop good markup loot you can then sell to other players. So guys, I hope this kind of guides you through your first few weeks in Entropia, probably your first month realistically. I know it kind of gets a little bit grindy, but I promise it does get better, especially once you get up to like level 10, 13 Evader, which Zykion can get you to really, really quickly. So guys, let me know in the comments if this is something you would have done when you first started, or if it's something you're doing now that you're first starting and seeing it. Let me know if you find out anything else that also works good for new players, any other great spots to find high markup loot in creatures that new players can kill, anything that's going to help a new player out. I want to see in the comments. I'll try and drop some more trade secrets there as well. For now, I've been StevieB. I hope you all have a good first couple of weeks in Entropia, and I hope that you continue to learn and earn. Have a happy holiday, guys.